Sorry if you're watching the catch up, watching me put my lip balm on. Hello. Blooming lovely to see you. If you are watching this live, just a little live, if you are watching the replay, hashtag replay helps me know who's watching, and not necessarily who, because that sounds creepy, but whether people do watch and whether it's worth me doing these lives. I used to do them quite a lot and I haven't done them for a while, so it's lovely to be here doing this again. Right, shall I get straight to it, because you're not here to listen to me witter on. You're here to know how to get stuff done when you're feeling super overwhelmed, which I think we've all felt at one time or another, and certainly that seems to be the theme in my coaching sessions at the moment is so overwhelmed. I think January is a tough old month actually, for that. Lots to get done and no time to do it. So I wanted to talk about why it is that people fail to ever feel like they've ever really finished, and how do you get to the point where you feel that you have finished? The answer to that is, I'm really sorry to tell you, but it never will be finished. So one of the first things to do is to let go of the idea that things will ever be completed. And I know in my Juggling Happy program, I work with people to work on things like procrastination, and how to, for example, get to the bottom of your emails. And I can teach you how to do all of that. I can teach you how to organize things so that you can get there. But, you know, the honest thing is that you may well get to the bottom of your emails and then you check them again an hour later and they'll be full again, because that's just the way that life is. So part of this really is about feeling like you're in control, and I'm not even sure if that's possible to feel like you're in control. So I'm sorry if it feels like I'm giving you bad news, but it's also really good news too, because when you realize that, it's really about managing your own expectations in terms of what can and can't be done. And when we do that, sometimes, well, all the time, overwhelm will dissipate. But I am going to give you some practical things. I'm not just going to be airy fairy and say, well, it can't be done. I am going to give you some practical things that you can do when you're feeling overwhelmed, to feel like, yay, I'm on top of it. I've managed. I've got there. And I've certainly had a week of that myself this week. I don't know about you, but I have some days where I am so super productive, it's crazy. And then I have days, most days actually, where it's really, God, it's hard, and it feels like you are walking through treacle. And often during those days are the days that the thoughts come in as well of, I should be doing this, or I should be doing that. And then we'd start taking a little hit on our mental health, which is where we're not able to think creatively and think our ways out of the situation. Right then, number one, I want you to get comfortable with the fact that things will never be done, that everything will never be done, that you will never complete everything. I want you to get comfortable with that and make space for you. So as of today, I come first. I am top priority, because if we look after our own health, our own mental health, then we can get on top of other stuff far better than we can if we don't look after our mental health. So I come first as of today. Now that means even though there's still a pile of stuff to do, even though you haven't got to the bottom of everything, that you take time for yourself. You go for a walk, you do a meditation or a relaxation or whatever it is that floats your boat, and you do that, and it becomes a non-negotiable, regardless of how much work there is to do, regardless of how much you've left on your desk or how many emails are in your inbox. Because if we don't do that, it's not sustainable. You can forget about it. So that's number one. I come first. And I know that's not what you're expecting me to say. You're expecting me to say, this is how you get it all done. That's in number 2, maybe. Number 2 is the thing that I do all the time. So anyone that knows me well will know that it can be incredibly chaotic in Laura Jessica Walker Towers because I am chaotic. And this is how I cope with overwhelm. So everything that's in my head when I'm feeling overwhelmed needs to come out of my head and go on to my notepad, my bit of paper, my iPad if you fancy. Get it all down, all of this stuff out of the brain and onto a piece of paper. Just doing that can help you to feel like you're able to breathe a little bit more. So get everything down, and you are making essentially a massive long to-do list. Everything goes on there, everything you think about from work, but also from home life as well. Anything that is going around your brain is coming out of here and onto the bit of paper, and you are creating this massive long, sometimes 100 things to do. Write them all down. And then there are some things on that list that you will be able to lift from that list and stick straight into your calendar. So as an example, I want to get my utility room all painted and clean and tidy. And that's been on my list in my head for a long, long time. Now I've got it out, I've put it on there, I'm going to put it in the calendar for this weekend. So I take half a day or a day to get that done. It's blocked out in my calendar, so I don't have to think about that anymore because it's in my calendar. It will definitely get done. Okay, so some of the things from that list, put them in your calendar and cross them off the list. As many as you can, actually, by the way, so you're not faced with that list right now. Then you're going to take the priorities of that list. You're going to create another list. And on this list, there are only 3, maybe 5 spaces. And that is what you're going to do today. 3 or 5 things you're going to do today. The reason why I do this is if I've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of things, I don't just do one thing. I start with one thing and I work on it until it gets a bit difficult. Until it gets to the bit where you've got to, I don't know, go onto the HMRC website and then you need to find the code to put in to get in it and that. And then it all gets hard and you can't remember the password and you're like, oh, sod it. I'll stop doing that and I'll start doing another task. And then you start doing another task and then that gets difficult and then we move it and then we start another task. So before you know it, you've got 7 tasks that you've started that day and you've completed none of them. So when you finish your day at work, you're like, haven't done any of that, and with that comes that feeling of I should have, I'm failure, the lot, and down the plug hole we go with those thoughts. So that's why we have one list which has 3 or 5 things on it, and that is it, and you will complete them by the end of the day. Now I also use the Pomodoro technique. Okay, so that is where you have a timer. It's a physical timer. You can use, they do have Pomodoro on the phone. I don't particularly like the Pomodoro on the phone. One because it's got a volume, so I can turn it down and ignore it. This, whoops, when I don't drop it, actually ticks. Can you hear that? I don't know where the microphone is. Somewhere. So that ticks, and then when we've done, so I'd set that to 25 minutes. And then when it is finished ticking, it will make this wonderful sound. 25 minutes is, if you've not read about the Pomodoro technique, it is backed in neuroscience with the idea that we can focus really, really well for 25 minutes and small chunks and amounts of time. So I use this consistently. This is when I have my most productive days. 25 minutes. 5 minutes break. That means getting up. Even if you're in flow, you've got to break flow. Get up, move around, go and make yourself a nice cup of tea, come back again. 5 minutes, back to 25, and you do 4 of those before you have a 15-minute break. It is amazing in terms of what you get on. Now, during the time that this is ticking, you do not answer phone calls. No one has to wait longer than 25 minutes. You can get back to them in your 5 minutes if it's urgent. And then you can move your task list if that comes to the top priority. But no one has to wait more than 25 minutes. And I think, even though I've got bigger kids now, when my kids were younger, they understood the idea of the Pomodoro. So they understood that if mummy was ticking, they only had to wait, maximum 25 minutes. So that's the Pomodoro. So there we go. So that's number 2. You do one thing at a time. Okay, so you create your list, just to recap, your massive list. Take everything out of your head, put it on the list. Then you have the things that you can lift out of there and put in your calendar. While you do that, you put a line through it so you can see your list getting smaller. You don't have to worry about it anymore. It doesn't need to be in your head because it's in your calendar. It's going to get done. And then, of course, your smaller list for today, the 3 or 5 things that you're going to get done today. The other thing to say about the Pomodoro technique is when you've made that list of things that you're going to get done today, I always, and I've got so much better at this the more that I've done it, I always put in my book the things that I want to get done. Okay, so it might be, I don't know, write a report, and then I have to work out how long that's going to take me. Now, when I first started doing this, I'm very terrible at knowing how long anything will take me. I always think I can get stuff done in 5 minutes. And actually, it might take half a day. But I've had to learn that by practicing. So if I put write a report, that'll take 25 minutes. And then I realise actually I've only done the introduction in 25 minutes. Then I will, keep writing the report for 25 minutes, the next 25 minutes, and the next 25 minutes until it's complete. And then the more that I do that, the more that I realise how long things actually take. And then in the morning I can say, right, I'm going to do this, this and this. That's going to take me 4 Pomodoros. That one might take me 6 Pomodoros. What's brilliant about that is you write your times down in your book and you know exactly how your day's going to go. Because you're Pomodoroing to your next break and then to lunchtime. And then you think, okay. What was amazing for me was understanding actually how little a human can do in a day. It's not as much as you think it should be, which is brilliant, because then you start giving yourself a break and saying, actually, nobody could do that. Nobody could do all those things in a day. And that really helps that self-talk that you should have done that or you should have got all of that done. No, because none of us could have got that done. So that is number 2. Do one thing. And then the final one is number 3. And this is about knowing that the future is completely uncertain. We think that we can plan everything. We think that we can be in control, and actually we can't, because we don't know, other than this minute right now that's going on here, which I can assess, everything else is out of my control. I don't know that I might get a phone call from the school any minute, or I might have, my husband might phone me, or, anything could happen. So we can't be totally in control all of the time. So there's a part that we have to do in our minds about just letting go of control of what we can't control. Okay, so we expect to have all this time, but we don't always have all this time. So let it go. And when you let it go, you'll feel so different about your world. So you only ever have to deal with one moment at a time. And all we've got right now is this moment right now. So that's it. Face the truth. You cannot get on top of everything because it is infinite, the amount of things that we have to do. So give yourself a break, be kind to yourself, and put yourself at the top of the priority list. So that list that you're writing, all that stuff in your brain, in there on that list will be things like drinking enough water, getting outside in nature, spending enough time doing absolutely nothing, because actually that is when the most creative thoughts come to you, and you'll find you need to spend less time in front of your computer thinking about work when you can have all of those creative thoughts when you're out walking and doing other things. So there you go. There's the 3 things that you can do to get shit done. Have an amazing weekend, and let me know if you've been watching.